Hi guys, and welcome back to part 2 of the Rule 56.1 statement that has now been unsealed. The first part was shocking. Oh my god, those messages between Blake Lively and Taylor Swift. This is a huge document out. So I was just over 40 pages in and we were already gone past an hour. So I think this is going to have to be probably like a 5 or 6 part to get through it all. And I do want to get through it all because this is where you learn all the interesting stuff. So we're going to continue. I'm sticking to my particular brand, which is read everything, not just the sensationalist stuff, not just the kind of clickbait headlines, everything. We're doing this properly. So I've already done videos on Wayfarers, because this is Wayfarers Rule 56.1, and then underneath, then Lively is responding to each point. And I've done a video both on Wayfarers Rule 56.1 statement, then I've done a video on which included the Lively responses. A huge amount of it was redacted, and the format I'm doing this is, I might recap the context of the point or the response, but I'm not reading it word for word because I've already done it. So I'm just going over these bits here which have got the highlights, and those are the bits that have been unredacted. Okay, because when we originally went through this, there was so much redacted. I was just, every other word was redacted. So it's so much so actually that I in my merch store you'll find t-shirts that refer, I think they say, I read all of Blake Lively's, all of Wayfarer's motion for summary judgment, and all I got was redacted. So, and they're quite popular t-shirts. So we're now back to the birth scene. We're back to the birth scene. Scene in which Lively's character gives birth, blah, blah, blah. We have covered this, but we are coming back to it again. While shooting the scene, Lively was wearing a hospital gown, a prosthetic belly, and fabric over her genitals. There is a video clip excerpt, so it's like behind the scenes footage, but of the birth scene. At the moment, that is not on the docket, and it's not going to be unsealed because I think it never did get on the docket in the end. It is included, but there was, I think, Lyman or one of the attorneys put something on the docket to say that it's incompatible or the file is too big and it's going to basically need an alternative way, much like the Claire IU recording. Okay, so right. Plaintiff's response disputed. While Lively wore a hospital gown, prosthetic belly, and a piece of fabric over her genital area, the video clip in Exhibit 74 does not accurately reflect the manner in which the scene was filmed. During the filming of the birth scene, production filmed multiple camera angles, including one depicting Lively's side profile fully nude. What that means is she just wore high-legged briefs. Actually, it does say here, Lively side profile fully nude from the chest down. A hospital gown was strategically placed only to cover Lively's breasts with the prosthetic belly exposed. She only wore a small, thin, flat piece of black fabric below her waist to cover her genitalia. Hold on a minute. But below her waist. So what was it like? I don't know. A pair of shorts with the side leg cut out. We'll have to see more about that. Sarah has testified he was not on set during the filming of the birthing scene. There's also a deposition from Vivian Baker, the Lively's makeup artist, for example, testified that she does not recall seeing Sarowitz on set and does not recall meeting him during production. Undisputed as to Sarowitz and Baker's testimony, disputed as to the remainder. Lively recalls Sarowitz being on set during the birthing scene. In response to whether he was the central crew to be on set that day, Sarowitz stated, "While I may have technically been non-essential, I did invest $30 million and paid for her salary, or at least my share of it, as well as other actors, and I consider that to be essential." Lively considers that not to be essential. She can send me a check, I can give you an address, or you can give it to her. I mean, Sarowitz was on set that day, but he was there later for the scene in which Lively's character was getting a scan, and the stenographer was played by Justin Baldoni's wife, Emily. Plus, also, Sarowitz did not know that the birth scene was being filmed. When Sarowitz booked the travel to the set that day, right? Lively's own response is just ridiculous here. I know it's already unsealed, so I have read this, but basically, Wayfarer is saying Sarowitz did not know what scenes were being filmed at any given time. And he made no conscious decision to see Lively in any particular scene while shooting. He did not know that this birth scene was being shot on the day it was being shot. Lively is disputing that, and she is saying Sarowitz was aware that the birth scene would be filmed on May 22nd. On May 15th, Sarowitz's chief of staff emailed Wayfarer that Sarowitz wanted to come to set on May 22nd. And on May 21st, Sarowitz's chief of staff was sent the call sheet showing that the birthing scene would be filmed the next day. Okay, but on the 15th of May, when Sarowitz said he was coming onto set on May 22nd, he was not aware that the birth scene was being filmed at that point, and he only found out about this the day before he was due to be on the set, which he had arranged more than a week in advance. This is the stuff that really peeps me with Lively, is misrepresent stuff like this. Okay. Lively has never said anything to Sarowitz has never said anything to Lively that she felt was inappropriate or made her uncomfortable. Undisputed. I don't even know why that was redacted. Why did that need to be redacted? On or about May 18th, Baldoni commented to actress Jenny Slate looked sexy in her character's wardrobe, which included black pants. He made this comment in the presence of others during the course of their work on the film. Undisputed that Baldoni told Slate she looked sexy. The remainder is disputed as incomplete and misleading. Baldoni told Slate, "I can say this because my wife is here, but you look sexy in what you were saying." Remember, guys, Blake Lively wasn't actually on set for this. Jenny Slate has confirmed that in her own deposition. She was not actually on set. Slate testified that she felt Baldoni was sexualizing her, something that she denied to Ange Giannetti, and explained that his comment was about me, not my character. It wasn't useful for my work. It wasn't anything I wanted. It was unwanted and had no place in my professional experience. Well, I mean, that's one person's word against another, and Lively, I don't even know why she's bringing other people into this. On or about May 23rd, 2023, Lively testified that she wore a low-cut dress under a coat to rehearsal. When the coat fell open to expose the dress, Baldoni commented, "I like your outfit," and gestured to his chest. Undisputed that on May 23rd, 2023, Lively was on set for a rehearsal, was wearing a jacket over a dress with a lower-cut neckline, which she wore to facilitate breastfeeding. I mean, you don't need lower cut necklines to facilitate breastfeeding, but okay. The remainder is disputed as incomplete and misleading because the cited testimony is taken out of context. Baldoni's comment occurred before rehearsal began, after Lively bent down to pick something up and her jacket fell open, revealing her dress and cleavage. When the jacket opened, Baldoni said, "I like your outfit," while making back and forth gesture across the chest area, which Lively interpreted as referring to her chest. Oh, for fuck's sake. He said that... He said, "I like your outfit." It's the same thing Gottlieb said to Baldoni in his deposition too, when showing Baldoni a picture of himself. "You're in a good-looking outfit." And I think, the kind of putting his hand on his own chest, why would that refer to Lively's chest? Isn't that just like, when men do that thing and they put their hand to their heart and like, oh, love, that kind of thing, Lively had worn the same outfit all day, but Baldoni's comment specifically occurred only after her jacket opened and exposed her cleavage, not when he first saw her outfit earlier in the day. Also on May 23rd, 2023, Baldoni commented that her character's outfit was sexy or hot. Baldoni said pretty hot in a tone that made Lively feel on display and uncomfortable. He was referring to the heat in the room, for fuck's sake. Slate observed this interaction. Yeah, but she can't even remember what he said. Perceiving Baldoni's comments as about Lively's body. Again, she has no knowledge of what Baldoni is actually thinking in his mind, what his intention is. She stated to Baldoni that comments about actors' bodies and their wardrobes range from irrelevant or unnecessary to inappropriate and distracting, and we're just not doing this anymore. And I'm walking away and, oh, fucking hell. The video footage of the incident shows Lively was fully dressed in an oversized police onesie at the time. That numerous actors and crew were also present and engaged in ongoing work at the time, that Baldoni's facial expression was neutral, not ugly nor suggestive, and that after Baldoni apologized if his mark was inappropriate, Lively responded by saying, "All good." Disputed as incomplete and misleading because the footage omits critical context. While shooting a bar scene in the presence of crew and multiple actors, Baldoni pressured Lively to remove her jacket to expose the partially unzipped onesie she was wearing underneath that revealed her lace bra. Why couldn't she fucking zipped it up? Lively removed her coat and looking at her, Baldoni said pretty hot, in a tone that made Lively feel on display and comfortable. Lively responded with, "That's not what I was going for." Baldoni responded stating sexy, to which Lively responded neither. The rest is what we've just read. Lively has testified sometime in late May 2023. Heath very briefly showed Lively an image of his wife giving birth. Lively said she stopped watching the video because there was a naked woman. Undisputed. Okay, so they're talking about the birth video, Heath's birth video, and the unredacted bit is Baldoni wanted to show the video in connection with his discussions with Lively about a birth scene in the film. Undisputed, but disputed that Heath showed Lively the portion of the video depicting Heath and his wife surrounded by the family. Also disputed that Heath sharing that the video had any relation to the birth scene, filming of which had completed the day before or was done in the context of related discussions. On May 23rd, 2023, the day after filming of the birth scene, Heath approached Lively while she was eating lunch and without warning started playing a video of a naked woman. Lively recalls seeing a woman fully exposed. Lively initially believed that Heath was attempting to show her pornography. He then explained it was a video of his wife giving birth. Lively asked Heath to stop playing the video and inquired if he had his wife's consent to share it. To which Heath replied, "She isn't weird about this stuff." Lively was disturbed and unsettled. Those words again that Jenny Slate used a lot, unsettled. That Heath would show her the video at work. Okay, so this is going to be a he said, she said. And I mean, if it was the day after the birth scene, then I do wonder why it would be shown. I dispute Lively saying she recalls seeing a woman fully exposed. Because if you're giving birth in a water birth, the lighting looked very dim in the image that we've now seen, that has been shared, the image that Jamie Heath says he showed. Lighting was quite dim. But if a woman giving birth in a water birth, it is incredibly hard to see anything in there unless you're, literally up close and personal. It just is, it's not easy to have a really clear view of a naked woman in there. Or the baby, the baby emerging, because you've got a lot going on in there. You've got fluids, you've got blood, women might be moving around. The midwife is kind of in and out, with her hands checking and various things. It depends on the position the woman gets into as well. It's just not like, it's not like it's a clear view just because it's water. So I find it odd that she is saying that she saw a woman fully exposed. He testified that he showed Lively a video depiction, a midwife, sister, kids, wife, myself, newborn baby. Believe we were singing or praying. She doesn't actually. She doesn't dispute that he testified to that, but she is disputing as incomplete and misleading. Multiple parts of the birth were filmed, including before, during, and after the baby was born, during which his wife's new body is visible. Lively recalls seeing a woman fully exposed. What, in that literally 1 second that she's. Ange Giannetti, a Sony executive associated with the production, testified shortly after viewing the image. Lively briefly mentioned to Giannetti that she was very unhappy about being shown the video as she was walking by Giannetti at lunch. Giannetti testified that Lively said her comment to me and kept walking. Undisputed. Lively did not ask Giannetti to take any action concerning the image. Undisputed that in the immediate moments after Heath showed Lively the video on May 23rd, 2023, as Lively was walking away, Lively did not ask Giannetti to take any action. The remainder is disputed as incomplete and misleading because it omits critical subsequent events. On May 26th, Lively had a 45-minute conversation with Sony's Giannetti, who was in Los Angeles at the time, about filing a complaint with Sony's HR department about the on-set conduct. Lively shared with Giannetti her concerns about Baldoni's comments about her body and Heath's decision to show her a video of a naked woman. Lively told Giannetti that she felt like the set was untenable and unruly, and that there was no structure, and that there was no one in charge, and that people who were in charge were misbehaving, and that she felt she had nowhere to go. Giannetti told Lively that she had to report her grievances directly to Wayfarer after Lively told Giannetti that she had wanted to file a HR complaint. Giannetti reported Lively's complaint to Baldoni and Heath without Lively's consent. Even though Sony's own policies and procedures mandated otherwise, Giannetti did not report Lively's harassment complaints to Sony HR, and Sony did not conduct any investigation into Lively's harassment complaints. Oh, is there bad blood here with Sony as well? So why has she not sued Sony then? If Sony did not follow their own policies and procedures, why is she not making claims that they aided and abetted harassment and failed to investigate? Giannetti did not believe there was any reason to take any action. Undisputed. Even though Sony's own policies and procedures mandated otherwise, Giannetti did not report Lively's harassment complaints to Sony's HR, and Sony did not conduct any investigation into Lively's harassment complaints. I just think that's wild. Why did she not sue Sony then? Why did Ryan Reynolds write a text message to Josh Greenstein who was at Sony, talking about how they protected her. And now you got Lively here sitting there going, no, they didn't follow their procedures. They didn't report my harassment concerns and my complaints as they were supposed to. This doesn't make sense. There's conflicting comments. Giannetti testified that Heath showed her the image as well. She said that it depicted a woman in a tub giving birth with someone behind her holding her. She did not see a baby crowning or any genitalia in the image. Disputed that Heath showed Giannetti the image to the extent that it refers to the same material that Heath showed to Lively. How does Lively know? Giannetti does not know if the video Heath showed her was the same video that Lively saw. That's not an unfair statement. It's not. I just can't see why would Heath show her a picture of baby crowning when the birth scene, Lively was not actually literally going to give birth in it. What would be the purpose of showing her a video of his wife's, his wife literally having a baby crowning? I just, I am not going to get annoyed. In 5 minutes, I'll be annoyed. Undisputed that Giannetti believed the interaction described in paragraph 124 immediately above, as conveyed to her, represented a misunderstanding. Hold on. Giannetti believed the interaction was a misunderstanding, a mistake based on miscommunications between Baldoni, who told Heath to show the image, and Heath, who believed Lively was prepared to view it in the context of their work. And Lively's response is, it's undisputed that Giannetti believed the interaction described in paragraph 124 immediately above, as conveyed to her, represented a misunderstanding. Oh, we're back to Taylor Swift. Let's see what we get here. Okay. Lively's subsequent conduct confirms Baldoni's account. In her protections demands, she objected to Baldoni referring to personal times that physical consent was not given in sexual acts as either the abuser or the abused. In a subsequent text exchange with Taylor Swift, Lively linked Baldoni's comment about consent to an article in which Baldoni disclosed his experience as a victim of sexual abuse to the press. Wow. Undisputed that Lively objected to Baldoni referring to personal times that physical consent was not given in sexual acts as either the abuser or the abused, and that Lively shared an article with Swift about Baldoni. Disputed that Lively's subsequent conduct confirms Baldoni's account to the extent that it's inconsistent with the testimony of Lively's security detail that during an April 2023 car ride from New York or New Jersey with Lively, Baldoni divulged to Lively that women had forced themselves on him and he had forced himself on women, and did so even when they said no or did not consent. Yeah, I'm inclined to not believe that security. Of course, I do not believe the security detail. I'm sorry, I don't. If she was well aware that people had done things to him, abused him sexually, shared that information with Taylor Swift, linked it to an article where he disclosed his experience as a victim of sexual abuse to the press. And then she's saying, yeah, no, but we happened to be in a car ride and my security detail remembers him saying that he had also forced himself on women. I don't believe that. Sorry. On or about May 26, 2023, while out with COVID, Lively spoke with Ange Giannetti, the Sony executive assigned to the film, about various issues. These included the first assistant director on the set, a woman, an instance in which Heath showed Lively an image from a video taken of his wife at or around the time she had given birth, Baldoni's allegedly appropriate comment, and scheduling issues. Undisputed that on May 26, 2023, while out with COVID, Lively spoke with Giannetti about concerns, including the first assistant director, that would be Julie Bloom. Heath showing her a video of his nude wife giving birth. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. And Baldoni's comments that she looks sexy and hot. Disputed to the extent it suggests that these were the only concerns raised by Lively during the call. Lively shared with Giannetti her concerns about Baldoni's comments about her body and Heath's decision to show her a video of a naked woman. Well, that's what they just said. Lively told Giannetti that she felt like the set was untenable and unruly and that there was no structure and that there was no one in charge and that people who were in charge were misbehaving and that she felt like she had nowhere to go. Giannetti told Lively that she had to report her grievances directly to Wayfarer. In an email on the same day, Lively asked Giannetti to first tackle the first assistant director issue and then turn to other leadership issues on set. It also does say there, this is not newly unredacted though, Lively's email did not mention sexual harassment or discrimination or make any accusation that any conduct rising to that level had occurred. Undisputed. Disputed as to the second sentence to the extent it suggests Lively was required to use specific buzzwords like sexual harassment or discrimination. On May 26, 2023, Lively had a 45-minute conversation with Sony's Giannetti, who was in Los Angeles at the time, about filing a complaint. I think we've read all this. They copy and paste the same answer. We've just read it, so I'm not going to read it again. The female assistant director to whom Lively objected was terminated shortly thereafter and replaced with Lively's preferred assistant director, a man. Lively's PGA letter stating, I unfortunately was responsible for the firing of our first assistant, first AD, Julie. Undisputed that a female assistant director was terminated during production. The remainder is disputed as incomplete and misleading. The cited materials do not support the implication that Lively had unilaterally caused or directed the termination. I mean, if you're claiming credit for it in the PGA letter, then you can see why people might infer that. But I do know that Alex Sachs pushed as well for the first assistant director to be fired. Now, was that potentially in partnership with Lively? Possibly. We don't know. Oh, she does actually go on to say that. To the contrary, the assistant director was inexperienced and had not previously worked on a film set and was not meeting expectations. Sachs recommended that the assistant director be terminated based on these performance deficiencies. She does actually say exactly what I just said. So I have read in the deposition transcript that Alex Sachs, I think it was Jamie Heath's deposition transcript that Alex Sachs wanted the first AD fired. It might have been Alex Sachs's actually. She also wanted Jamie Heath fired as well as producer. She didn't think he was experienced enough. She wanted Justin Baldoni replaced with Christy Hall. Okay. On May 28, 2023, Lively discussed the production with fellow cast member Jenny Slate. In this communication, Lively asked Slate not to mention her views about inappropriate behaviour to Baldoni and Heath. She also indicated that she had discussions with Giannetti, but I asked her not to mention so I could personally tackle. That's undisputed. Lively did not contact Wayfarer's HR department during the production, nor did she file a formal sexual harassment complaint with Sony or Wayfarer's HR department at any time. Undisputed that Lively did not contact Wayfarer's HR consultant or Sony's HR department. The remainder is disputed as incomplete and misleading because it omits critical context. Heath testified that Wayfarer had one HR consultant, Cynthia Barnes-Slater, who worked from home, and that Wayfarer did not have a separate HR department dedicated to the film. I mean, you still could have contacted her, like you drop her an email, she will pick it up. It doesn't matter where she's working from. Home was nowhere near the film set. Anyway, it was in Los Angeles. I believe it was in Los Angeles anyway, or was it in Illinois? So you could have picked up the phone or emailed her. She still would have picked it up. But it's having that paper trail as well, I always advise people, have you got a paper trail? If not, keep a paper trail. Because if nothing else, right, you can say, well, I did send this email on this date and on the 23rd of May, but, I never got a response, or they responded and said they'd look into it. I never heard any more. At least if you sent the email, you've covered yourself. But she didn't send an email, not just to Wayfarer's HR. She keeps talking about Wayfarer's HR now as a lack of HR. Wayfarer also said she did not did not contact Sony's HR department. And Lively herself has already admitted that Sony had an obligation to investigate. Well, there's nothing there. There's no evidence there that she followed up with us. Right. Wayfarer never provided Lively with HR resources or HR contact information. I mean, you can Google search Wayfarer's contact information. I'm sure, if did she even ask Jamie or Justin? Did she ask Alex? There would have been someone who could have told her. Her agent could have got hold of this. It's not like her agent wasn't in touch with HR, especially when they were negotiating her loan-out agreement. Like, she didn't need to be provided with contact details. She could have got these easily. She's now just splitting hairs here. Lively made complaints to individuals with supervisory authority over her work on the production, including Baldoni, Heath, Sachs, and Giannetti. Yeah, but you also told Alex Sachs not to say anything. Or did she say it to Jenny Slate? I mean, I mean, no, obviously, are we saying all four of these people did not think that this issue was, not ongoing and it had been resolved to her satisfaction? I don't understand all this. All four of them. So why are we not bringing complaints against Alex Sachs? Why are we not bringing a complaint against Ange Giannetti? Why are we only suing the men? Lively told Giannetti she wanted to file HR claims with Sony, but was advised by Giannetti that she could not do so. Why? Why could your husband not have asked Josh Greenstein? Hey, my wife's been trying to file a complaint with you. You're telling her she can't. Why? Heath did not disclose Lively's complaints to Wayfarer's HR consultant, and Wayfarer did not investigate Lively's complaints. You know why? She is pressing on with this and only bringing this action and making these complaints against Wayfarer, Justin, and Jamie. Because what was it? How did she describe Justin? A doofus director? A clown? He's scared of women. He's terrified of women. Isn't that what she told Taylor Swift? That's why. Even though Sony's own policies and procedures mandated otherwise, Giannetti did not report Lively's harassment complaints to Sony's HR, and Sony did not conduct any investigation into Lively's harassment complaints. Okay. Now we're talking about, what are we? So this is the trailer again. Lively asked Baldoni, Heath, and producer Alex Sachs into a trailer, discussed various topics, including Baldoni's comment at the wardrobe. Lively's character looked sexy or hot. Heath showing Lively an image of his wife at around the time she gave birth. An instance in which Heath entered her makeup trailer while Lively was in a state of undress. An instance in which Baldoni had cried in a trailer over the negative public reaction to Lively's casting. And Heath and Baldoni's practice of hugging other cast and crew members. Right, let me just clarify. He didn't cry in the trailer over the negative public reaction to her casting. He cried over... If he cried over anything in her trailer, it was about the shocking wardrobe choices that basically made her look like a walking sack of potatoes. Honestly, she looked like... Oh my God, the pigeon lady in Home Alone 2, the one that's quite often people say, oh, it's Piers Morgan. It's not. But she kind of resembled like a pigeon lady, She looked terrible, like a homeless person. Right, her response. It's undisputed, blah, 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 but disputed that concerns were with respect to A, comments about Lively's wardrobe rather than her body or personal appearance. B, Heath showing Lively an image around the time of his wife's birth rather than a video of his naked wife during birth. C, only Heath entering her trailer rather than also looking at her exposed breasts after she asked him to turn away. Although Lively had not planned to log her concerns in that meeting, she expressed her real concerns with the behaviour on set, which she described as unprofessional and too comfortable, and said that is not okay and has to stop. Okay. Okay. Baldoni and Heath attempted to explain the innocent context and apologised for any discomfort that Lively may have experienced, and disputed that Baldoni and Heath tried to justify their decision. Right, blah, blah, blah. The unredacted bit. Lively testified that she found it inappropriate and expressed discomfort. Lively was disturbed and unsettled. There's that word again, unsettled. That's used a lot. Isabella Farah used it. Jenny Slate used it. It's almost like there was some kind of coordination here on how they were going to respond to this. Lively was disturbed and unsettled that Heath would show her the video at work. Ange Giannetti, a female Sony executive, learned about the meeting from Sachs. After learning about Lively's objections and the subsequent meeting, Giannetti chose not to report any issues to Sony or Wayfarer's HR departments. And that's the other thing, Ange Giannetti could have contacted Wayfarer's HR department. She didn't feel it was necessary. She testified, I thought it was completely resolved, like grown-up people who sat down and talked about it she said what she said. Everyone was clear, and that was never going to happen again. And it seems like it was addressed. Undisputed that the quoted language appears in Giannetti's deposition. Even though Sony's own policies and procedures mandated otherwise, Giannetti did not report Lively's harassment complaints to Sony's HR, and Sony did not conduct any investigation into Lively's harassment complaints. I mean, Ange Giannetti was not the only person, in fairness. She was not the only person from Sony involved in this. You had Tony Vinchenko. I can't remember his name, but he left. He was really high up, and he left shortly after Lively filed her CRD. There's Josh Greenstein, but also the one question, the burning question, and this is what I would ask if I was Wayfarer's attorney, is if you felt that Ange Giannetti had not listened to you and not followed the mandated policies and procedures and dealt with your complaint effectively, why in your 17-point demand for protections did you want her as the appointed Sony representative on set at all times? I would be asking that. Because so far, she has said repeatedly, Sony did not conduct this. Ange Giannetti did not follow procedures, blah, blah, blah. She did not take my concerns seriously. She did not do what she was supposed to have done, didn't fail to do her job. But yet, Ange Giannetti was specifically the Sony representative that Lively wanted on set at all times in her 17-point extortion demands. Just saying. On or around the same time, Jenny Slate discussed the production with Giannetti and producer Alex Sachs. Her comments focused primarily on Lively's concern about the set. Slate also said that Baldoni told her she looked sexy in her character's wardrobe on one occasion. So it's undisputed, but she does say some of it is undisputed, but the rest is disputed as incomplete, misleading. Apparently, Slate raised multiple concerns. Oh, we got a quote about the sanctity of motherhood. Excellent. We now have a quote about what was said here. Because in the deposition excerpt from Jenny Slate, that complaint did not come up about the whole what Jamie Heath said. So here we go. On May 29th, 2023, Slate raised concerns to Sachs that Baldoni had commented about her physical appearance as sexy, which made her uncomfortable. Baldoni had recorded an initial meeting with she and Lively without her consent. Heath made comments to her about how generous they had been with her housing allowance and that it was important for them to take care of new mothers, which made her uncomfortable. Are you kidding me? Is that it? It's important for them to take care of new mothers? And what's wrong with them saying that they've been generous? They were generous. Most people's kind of, bosses would not just hand out, 10, 15, $20,000 and say, "Here." And that's on top of what was already being paid for the first apartment that she, um, rented, I believe, which turned out to be not suitable or safe for her young child. She asked for more money, like, or I don't know if she asked for the money or if they just said, "Here, let us cover it, let's help you," and gave it to her. But either way, they gave her a lot of money, a substantial sum, and made the comment that it's important for them to take care of new mothers. And she took an issue with that. She is such a oh my I don't even know how to describe her. That's just absolutely insane. I cannot believe she's just seems to be taking issue with everything. Honestly, some of these women do not know how good they've got, and now they're sitting here trying to convince ordinary people like me and you that somehow, like Wayfarer, were completely outrageous. And they're trying to say with a straight face that they were offended and uncomfortable. Honestly, they don't need know the meaning of what it's like to be sexually harassed, by the sounds of it. This is just ridiculous. You got between this, right? Slate being offended by the comment that it's important for Wayfarer for them to take care of new mothers. You got Farah being uncomfortable or thinking it's inappropriate to look at her co-star's face whilst being spoon-fed cookie dough. I mean, is this the great, you know, laundry list of inappropriate and toxic work environment? Because fuck me, I would kill for a job on that set. They sound great. And she felt overall uncomfortable in the presence of both Baldoni and Heath and would prefer to never see Heath again. That's just fucking rude. That's just really fucking rude. Yeah, here, take the money, like, make your child safe. But she's uncomfortable in their presence and didn't want to ever see Heath again. I'll also point out as well that Farah and Slate are having their legal fees for all of this crap paid for by Wayfarer. In a text to Giannetti the same day, Sachs noted that Slate's concerns were very bad. No, they weren't. They were very frivolous. I think that we need to replace our director. And stated, I think we need to replace our director. Fuck's sake. And Heath should not be on set. I don't understand what he's supposed to have done because the help with the apartment had nothing to do with him being on set. He was not on set for that. So why is Sachs saying, based on what Jenny Slate has to say about Jamie Heath, which she's not had a bad experience on set with Jamie Heath, by the way. And Alex Sachs has deduced from that Heath should not be on set. Why? Sachs went on to share that Slate really would prefer to never see Heath again. It seems like extreme overreactions to nothing. Giannetti similarly testified that Slate complained to her about Baldoni's hot comment. I'm just going to read. I'm not going to give context. I'm just going to read the unredacted bits. Slate testified that she did not see Baldoni's message to her as an apology and instead viewed it as not taking direct accountability and an acknowledgement that he received information from Ange and that, as he said, adjustments will be made accordingly, which was enough for her to feel like she should focus up and do her work. Okay, so it was enough, but you're still whining about it. Giannetti testified that the 3 incidents she was aware of, namely Lively being shown an image of Heath's wife's birth, Heath entering Lively's trailer, and Baldoni calling Slate hot in front of 300 people, did not amount to a reason to call HR. She explained, "We had a meeting in the trailer. It was resolved." Lively's response, even though Sony's own policy procedures mandated otherwise, oh, she's just repeating herself. She did not report follow-up and she did not investigate, blah, blah, blah. Neither Lively nor anyone else have identified any other incidents they believe may have constituted sexual harassment. She disputes this. Farah experienced sexually inappropriate comments on the set of the film after June 1st, 2023. The first day that the two actors portraying young Lily and young Atlas met, Baldoni aside the male actor. Was that supposed to be Baldoni took aside the male actor and said, "I really want you to get to know Farah well," winking at him. Right, again, hearsay. Farah is saying that she was not there for that herself. So that when she is saying it is hearsay, and Lively just recanted Farah's version of that conversation that she was not present for and had no involvement in and did not find out about until months later. It's just hearsay on hearsay. After filming a scene in which two underage characters have sex for the first time, Baldoni stated, "I'm not supposed to say this, but that was hot." The actors were in their underwear at the time, and Farah felt it was directed at them personally. Do you know, I'm sure she didn't feel like that until Lively said, "Oh my God, that was inappropriate." Maybe planted the seed in her head. In another instance, Baldoni directed Farah to lick cookie dough off a spoon and look up at her love interest. You know, the cookie dough thing is in the book. The looking up at her love interest is the only bit he added. And I think that's a good way because it's making a connection. You're trying to forge lay down the foundations for the connection for Atlas and Lily later on when they meet again in his restaurant. Which Farah felt had an inappropriate adult sexual undertone. Oh, Jesus. The scene was not in the script. Talbot insisted on being present for an intimate scene between young Lily and young Atlas, worried that Baldoni might add additional intimate content that had not been rehearsed. Further, the entire course of retaliatory conduct that began with Baldoni's happy response when confronted about his behaviour is part of the sexually harassing course of conduct. What? Which was ongoing and continues to this day. Defendants have engaged in an ongoing course of retaliatory harassing conduct, including by disparaging Lively to peers and the media, among other things. Oh, that's whatever. Slate has testified in this litigation that she chose not to participate as a plaintiff in Lively's lawsuit because I felt that I settled my issues on set and I want to move on. Well, that and there is nothing from the conduct there that amounts to the legal definition of sexual harassment. There was nothing severe and pervasive. I don't even think Lively's meeting that target, but Slate definitely not. I'd love to see her sitting in front of the jury saying, "Yeah, they gave me a lot of money to find a new place because the one I was in was not safe for my child, and they told me that it's important to Wayfarer that they take care of new mothers." And I mean, and looking at with a straight face at the jury and saying, "And can you imagine that? I mean, how dare they?" Undisputed as to Slate's testimony, dispute to the extent that it suggests Lively ever asked or suggested Slate to participate as a plaintiff, which is not supported by the cited evidence and which she did not do. Okay. Prior to this litigation, Sarowitz was not aware of any formal HR complaints that were filed in connection with the film. That's disputed. Sarowitz was made aware of several complaints regarding conduct on set, which were raised to Heath Baldoni, Sex, and Giannetti. Heath and Baldoni notified Sauerets of Lively and Slate's concerns that Baldoni had commented that they look hot and sexy, and responded that he should come to set and remind Blake whose money this is. Sauerets also received the CRA. The CRA? Okay. Let's see. Where are we for time? I'll do another page then. Or two. Nor was he aware of any reported allegations of misconduct prompting a HR investigation at Wayfarer Studios. Disputed on May 28, 2023, Baldoni confirmed in a text to Heath, so we're talking about Heath here, that he had shared the comments the ladies had feelings about with Sauerets, who responded to Baldoni that Sauerets should come to sit and remind Blake whose money this is. Heath confirmed, yeah, he said that to me. Sauerets does not have any knowledge of any actual behaviour on set that could be a problem. I'm just going to carve it down. Disputed, Sauerets was made aware of several complaints regarding conduct on set, which were raised to Heath, Baldoni, Sachs, and Giannetti. Heath and Baldoni notified Sauerets of Lively and Slate's concerns that Baldoni had commented that they look hot and sexy, and responded that he should come to set and remind Blake whose money this is. Oh, God. We're just going to have that as a generic response now for everything about Sauerets. Sauerets also received the CRA. Sauerets is not aware of any complaints raised on set that were not resolved. Disputed, Sauerets was made aware of several complaints regarding conduct on set, which were raised to Heath, Baldoni, Sachs, and Giannetti. Yeah, but they all thought that it was resolved. Heath and Baldoni notified Sauerets of Lively and Slate's concerns that Baldoni had commented they look hot and sexy, and responded, the same thing, same response, and he also received the CRA. Same response here. I'm not going to keep reading this. This is just ridiculous. She's literally got no other response. Same response here. On June 1st, 2023, Lively privately acknowledged to Slate that the set was fine vibe-wise. Undisputed. On July 19th, 2023, approximately 1 month after filming had been interrupted due to the writer strikes, Lively wrote to Baldoni asking to see the raw, unedited footage from the shoots, known as dailies. She told Baldoni she was so happy and energized to see the select footage he had previously sent. She continued, such solid work from everyone on and off camera. Undisputed. On August 29th, 2023, Lively wrote to her agent, Zavala, to complain about not being provided with a full cut of the film or the dailies. She wrote, "They're all clowns. I have my HR report ready also, FYI." So she was black. She was. Oh my God, she was leveraging these allegations. Give me the dailies or I'm going to send my HR report. Oh my God, that's gross. Undisputed that the quoted language appears in the cited source. Undisputed that on August 29th, 2023, Lively wrote to Zavala, "They should show me the movie. I'm an EP. That's just a ceremonial title. And they need me to be engaged in this thing during production and press. His entire sales pitch is how collaborative he is and how much he values women. Yet they're not going to allow me to see the movie. I've never not been invited into the edit room for my opinion, much less had to beg to see additional scenes of dailies. His promises of how he works so far have proven to be empty." Oh my God. Wow, what a diva. It ends with us movie had already retained an intimacy coordinator and made her available to meet with Lively. Undisputed. The intimacy coordinator had already been sought. Lively's input. So the unredacted bit, Elizabeth Talbot testified at length how Baldoni routinely improvised intimate scenes that were not in the script and had not been rehearsed or approved in advance. Again, I need more context. I might do her deposition transcript after I've done this document, actually, just to get to that. Because I bet there's more context to that. I bet it's not as simple as, oh yeah, he was constantly changing things. And I bet she makes comments in there that Lively also, changed, did gratuitous kissing or unscripted kissing. Lively herself admits doing it. Okay, there were no such scenes. What was this? So the previous one is Lively requested that any footage involving any nudity and or simulated sex previously shot without the nudity rider in place could not be used. So the next point is there were no such scenes. At the time of Lively's request, no intimate scenes involving her had been filmed. The intimate scenes involving other actors in which Lively had no involvement had been filmed pursuant to nudity riders and with the assistance of an intimacy coordinator. Disputed. A scene in which Lively's character gave birth was filmed in 2023 and unexpectedly, due to Baldoni's same-day decision-making, involved profile nudity as Lively was unclothed from the waist down, with only a small piece of fabric covering her genitals. Lively always had a lock on her trailer available to use to maintain her privacy. Undisputed that Lively's trailer had a lock on it that hair and makeup professionals wouldn't necessarily want to have locked, because when you're going to have it open, because then you're going to have what? Undisputed that Lively's trailer had a lock on it that hair and makeup professionals wouldn't necessarily want to have locked, because then you're going to have it open. What? But that after Heath entered Lively's trailer without permission while she was in a state of undress, Lively's hair artist began to lock it. Lively also had personal security guards. Undisputed. Okay, let's see. I might do this one and then go to the next part of this, part 3. Disputed. The source cited does not support the assertions that Miss Lively oversaw a scene. Okay, right. So Lively oversaw a scene she herself added to the script in which her character kissed Baldoni's character in every take, even though there was no kiss in the script. Disputed. The source cited does not support the assertions that Miss Lively oversaw a scene that she herself added to the script. Further, Lively and Baldoni discussed and planned the addition of a kiss, to which Mr. Baldoni consented. All right, we're going to go on to part 3 of this. Making some decent progress, actually. Now 70 pages in. Right, I'll be back for part 3 then, guys.